Hey, what is going on, everyone? Today we are joined by none other than McMole here on the show today. As of late, some of you may have known him from some of the crazy Ravager videos that he's done, posted like Stitcher videos and Stitcher killing Doom and stuff like that. I know you're a bit crazy about this team and have done a handful of videos on them, of course, lots more. But say hello to everyone on the Boilon channel.
What's going on, everybody? So I'm here to talk about Ravager Stitcher, is that right?
Well, maybe in part two. So today we're going to be talking about some of the continued recent issues regarding the game and its stability, but I also want to acknowledge that they actually made a post on Friday evening after a lot of pushing by myself and other content creators to acknowledge the issues more publicly. Yep. So I want to go on from there, understand a little bit where we're at and what the future of Marvel Strike Force actually might be. So if that sounds good, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Alright, so I'm gonna start here. So this is the game performance issue blog post that was released late Friday evening. Yep. And I'm kind of, curious what your thoughts are on this. I know actually we just talked that you actually kind of missed this, so maybe you didn't get a full chance to read all this, but
no, I didn't realize they had done these blog posts. I saw the announcements. I didn't realize there was actual blog posts to it.
Yeah, so
until about 2 minutes ago.
They have finally acknowledged this, but there is some things that they're mentioning, and Cerebro said actually, well, he commented on a Reddit post that when this was posted on Reddit, he did a follow-up comment basically saying that this was aimed for early next week is what he said. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. But yeah, we are expected to get a hotfix for this, including some of the stuff listed here. Implement a number of memory footprint reductions, improve usage of memory. Now, this might be like a device-based thing. Like, I'm not an engineer that, that's what it sounds like to me when I hear memory issues. Like it reminds me of do you remember the Vision crashing and the Falcon crashing? I think like occasionally Falcon crashed the game way back. I don't know if you were playing then. Vision's dive bomb special crashed when you like had a crappy device. Like it's just like the memory. There was a huge memory issue that caused crashing. So I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not.
No, that I don't think I was playing at that point. I know every time when Vision dodges right now in the game, my frame rate drops through the floor.
Oh, okay. Maybe you were like not playing at that time, but yeah, Vision used to do a special. He used to come down, he'd land, and then he would crash the game. If your device was like less than a gig of memory or something like that, or less than 2 gigs, I forget. But it was a widespread issue at the time, and like OG Falcon had some issues as well for some reason. And so people would put him on the war defense, and then I think when he ulted, like it would crash the game. They since fixed that, but these were some of the memory-related issues that I remember. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, the Cersei and Icarus problems and the Capstan problems that we're having, I don't know if this has something to do with, like, device memory issues or things like that. So, those are the kind of the biggest widespread characters, I think, right now that are causing immediate crashes, I think, when people reference this particular character. It's typically those Cersei, Icarus, and, Capstan shield in the chest. Sometimes you get that as well. Like
yeah, like the interview that we're gonna talk about, the interview here in a little bit, but I know when I was talking to David, he was mentioning like there's like some weird stuff going on with downloading assets. So maybe
I don't know. Is this memory related? And then we're getting a reduced visuals mode. So for me, this sounds like basically if the game soft locks, if it stalls out. Some of you guys probably have experienced this where your game kind of freezes a little bit, the timer keeps ticking, and then when it hits 0, nothing happens. The game just doesn't do anything. And you have to eventually like force crash your game anyways. I'm hoping that this is, well, I don't want any soft locking at all. I'd like for them to just fix their shit. But in the meantime, if this can kind of go around it, I guess that's an improvement, I suppose. Sorry.
It's going to be funny to see because then you're just going to have like characters. It looks like, I guess they're just going to be standing still and you'll see like the damage tick down.
Yeah, well, that's why are we going to know that it's actually running? Hopefully that we know that something's happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping we get from this. And it'll be nice, but also like bright side to this is then when you get into this reduced visual modes, you won't have the animations. You'll just have characters taking damage and things going on there. So you're not watching like your symbiotes flail around for like 10 seconds before they hit something.
And it says allow combat to complete. So are we going to be able to play it, or is it going to be like on auto mode? Like, I guess we don't really know too much, so we'll have to find out. I really hope that this comes. We need fixes in general sooner than later, but
yeah,
Anomaly detected. This sounds like a report issue. Like if your game crashes, you can report this. I kind of think of like when my PC, when something crashes, do you want to report this to Windows? That's kind of like what it reminds me of. So this is a good thing, I think, because a lot of people, actually don't report their problems to support. Like they just say, oh, I had a crash, compensate me. But they don't say how you crashed, what were you doing, what device were you on. And I think all of this is actually important to getting things fixed, because if you don't share this information, it's really hard. So hopefully this allows that, or at least maybe they can kind of take a look at like these things for you in some way, I guess, that they can kind of see in your profile. Like I don't know, but I just hope that this is a positive thing to kind of help support, get an understanding of what's actually crashing the game, because I think that's why it's taking so long to fix these problems, because maybe they can't fix it, or like they don't know exactly what's going on or what's causing it, and it's different for everyone, because that's what it seems like. It's indiscriminate. It seems that like a lot of people are having that. Like, what's your experiences with? Are you getting any crashes or instability, or is it really just me and David?
No, like I don't really play on BlueStacks right now, because there's always like, it's just choppy. It will crash randomly. Like one night I was recording DD5. It gets up to like 99% and then just crashes all of BlueStacks. It's a pain. So, any kind of this anomaly detected stuff's gonna be nice too, because every time I open up my game and it's been like minimized, sometimes it does give me this anomaly detected, sometimes it doesn't. It's really buggy and unstable. So the fact that we're able to get more information and give that to support, I really have no complaints with this at all. Whatever they need to get this figured out, more info is always welcome.
Yep. T-posing.
I've got nothing really.
Any T-pose problems? Are you encountering the President Loki T-posing in arena problem? Because I had this once.
Most people in my arena for some reason don't use Loki, so I don't really run into that problem, which is interesting. But yes, I have run into that issue, and I have considered throwing Loki on war defense to like have like the possibility that someone's gonna load up the match, T-pose, crash everything.
If you get a combat canceled, then you know why. I mean,
yeah,
but it's
just Loki on his own. And
do you have the
like,
skin? Because it's the President Loki skin. Do you have the skin?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. I never picked up the skin, so I can't do that.
Oh man, it's frustrating because that's completely outside of your control. And what's funny is they said months ago they were disabling that skin, and they never disabled it.
Well, they did disable it for a while, and then they brought it back. I'm like, why is it still?
It's still crashing.
It's active. Yeah, right.
So they never fixed it.
They should disable it again until they fix it, but fix it for good. Okay, so I want to move on to about your interview, though, here. So let's talk about your interview a little bit here with David Brevik, a.k.a. the creator of Diablo and Marvel Heroes. I thought it was a bit interesting to hear from an actual game developer's perspective, and for those watching this video who hasn't seen it, I definitely recommend go checking it out, since it was quite informative about the state of the game industry kind of writ large. I'll leave a link in the description below for both McMole's channel and this video here. I think it's really worth watching, but I'm curious about what your thoughts are on the part that I picked up on from the video, was that maybe it seems like we're reaching basically peak profits or peak growth from Marvel Strike Force. I've been following the spending trends from Sensor Tower over the last 6 months or so, and it seems like profit margins have somewhat flatlined. There was a bit of a dip after Thanos Giving, and then it kind of came back for Christmas, but I wouldn't say the numbers are anything like crazy larger or lower than it usually is. So during your interview, I noticed that David said in part that maybe it was, it has hit that max potential, and so resources or staff in this case may be being diverted to other projects within Scopely and away from Marvel Strike Force, which might explain a lot of the problems that we've been having lately, especially, if they're running with more skeletal crews. And a lot of, honestly, a lot of us are, probably expected this to be the case for a while, especially with the technical issues. I would say it's been since New Year's, that it feels like we're kind of being squeezed a little bit here in the game. But like, what do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, so from what I can gather, is about the time Scopely acquired Marvel Strike Force. At some point after that, engineers were fired, and you can tell, like, as time has gone on since the acquisition, the quality of the game's gone down slowly, the constant bugs, glitches. It hasn't been as bad as it is with this 5.10 patch, but over the past couple of years, you've seen the quality just kind of go down and down. So you can tell for a while they've been kind of skeleton crew staffed. So the question is, how long have the engineers been gone? But yeah, It's kind of worrisome knowing that Scopely has looked at it, decided that, hey, we've had enough, and we're gonna start moving these moving this staff over to new projects. But also, like, that also means that new game modes that we get in the future are not gonna be as robust as we were to expect. Like the tower mode, it's kind of like a glorified blitz. The question is, how much can they actually do if they don't have that many engineers on staff? So
Right.
there's that kind of stuff, but then also just the fact that they've like flatlined on these profits, and you look at how much they've monetized tier 16 and how expensive these events have been.
Wow,
Like
that's why I
the
have this in the
Echo,
background here, the Stark
yeah,
Armory stockpile, I talked
yeah,
about this in
the
my
Echo
most recent
event was
video.
$300. The Stark one, if you do the core offers, it's about $150, I think, for your
Mhm,
solo milestone if you just buy the orbs through your power cores.
mhm.
So it's not as expensive as the Echo one, but if they're squeezing us this hard and they're still flatlining on profits, that means that either people just aren't spending on these events, or they're just losing a lot of people who are either not spending or just dropping the game, and either one's not good. It's
Well,
not a good sign.
there's a lot of situations right now that could be leading to, a decrease of players. That's what I'm
Hmm.
thinking, like the technical issues. Like, it was
Yeah.
interesting to hear that even David Brevik is, having game crashes, right, to the degree that, and it's actually kind of crazy how much he actually plays the game, it seems like, because I talked to a lot of
Right.
people
Yeah.
who are like, they casually play. It seems like he's actually fairly active. And so it's kind of both funny and surprising for me. But to see that, like, other people are having this issue. And so that's why it feels so real to hear him say that, like, yes, he's having these issues, and that's why it was kind of funny to see that.
Yeah. Like he's like, yeah, this is the crashiest game, and I'm like, oh my god, the guy who made some of my favorite games ever plays the same mobile game I'm playing.
And
Like
so
it's so cool.
it makes me wonder, is it impacting the amount of players that are, maybe leaving because they're getting fed up? And to be honest, like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of there, like, I'm at the precipice, and I
Yeah.
have been, where, like, I can't actively play a lot of game modes like in raid or in war. I honestly get like at least 2 Doom Raid crashes a day, and it's super frustrating because I'm losing resources. And for some, that's potentially, I wouldn't say money necessarily, but if I want to spend cores to get that energy back or whatever I have to do, right? So in some ways that's currency that I shouldn't have to use based on these crashes, and that's super frustrating. And maybe it is pushing some people, off the edge there to quit the game. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tiresome because we just finished the Echo event, and then
Yeah.
we got this
Wow.
Stark Armory stockpile event
I'm
right
gonna
behind it.
I'm gonna
It's
touch on
like,
that really
come on,
quickly.
man.
As far as bugs go, I'll touch on this really quickly because we still, as of recording this video, we haven't received our mirror images payout for that. And part of
Yeah,
me
I
believes
think
that, did it just come in? I don't think it has yet.
no,
But
it has not yet. But I know Remenex mentioned it on the Envoy server. They say to give 24 hours after the event ends to get the rewards. If it
okay,
hasn't at that
so
point, then it's late, and then they will do investigation
okay,
into
so
it. So we still
we
have
have 3 hours as of recording this, So I'm wondering if it's a function of this fighting spirit milestone being repeated, because that's not supposed to happen
Yeah.
either. So I'm wondering if this
I'm
really borked the payout because this is running again or something. Even though the mirror images is done, I'm just like wondering if there's a weird interaction with the milestones. They're just like, I don't know, it fucked everything up. So
Yeah, I know some people are a little nervous about that because they're like, well, because some people are nervous, like, is the leaderboard still going? It says it's done, but is it still going? So still need to like
mhm.
hurry up and do blitzes and spend these imprints because of the leaderboard?
Well, the store
So
is
some
still
people are
active,
nervous
I
about all of it.
guess. We still have the
Huh?
store active for about another 2 days, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, get your blitz in, guys. If you need to want to get more imprints, at least you can claim from that milestone.
Yeah.
So I want to talk really quickly about Grand Tournament being around the corner and whether or not that this game mode is going to, and since I don't have anything to reference here, I'm just going to stick it on War, whether or not this will lead to a significant bump in profits for Scopely and Marvel Strike Force, or if any of the existing bugs and issues, if not resolved, will lead to a loss of the player base, albeit we don't know to what extent this might be. It would just look bad, I guess, if they keep pushing forward with this game mode with all the pre-existing issues that's not fixed, because, what if we go into battles for Grand Tournament with the resultant crashes, and all of this still unresolved, we lose progress on attacks, or whatever, currency, whatever energy that we have to use, right, for this upcoming game mode. So, I think it's going to look bad if we don't get these things fixed now before that comes out.
I'm I'm nervous about Grand Tournament, to be honest. I mean, we've mentioned it before in the Envoy server, the time allotment in this game, and now asking for this new mode. Like I haven't touched tower mode in like 2 days. I've got too much stuff to do. Like I just don't have the time to do it. And now I've got to do my raids every day. We've got Alliance Wars. Now I've got to like find time to do Grand Tournament. I think the risk they're gonna run is that people are gonna get burnt out with Grand Tournament and they're just gonna walk away. So they've got to find a way to like push Grand Tournament. I think they're gonna do a lot of teal gear into that game mode, but if they don't find ways to reduce the time allotment in this game, like who's gonna really have the time to spend with it?
Well, and that's the issue, right? Is so are we going to have reduction in screen time in other places, and that's not something that they've actually openly talked about yet. So yeah, I'm concerned about that. That's always a concern for me, actually.
It was mentioned, I think, what, like 2 months ago on the Envoy server, and we haven't really heard anything since
I mean,
then.
they're slow. I mean, they're slow to tell us anything. I mean, it took us this long to get an announcement on technical issues. So hey, you know, that's something they could have mentioned 2 weeks ago, I think, when everyone was saying about it. So
well, yeah, every day we're like, cool. Like, we're glad you're telling us. How about you tell the community that you're working on the bugs?
Exactly.
Radio silence ain't looking good.
I want to finish off the video by talking about one last thing, and this is a point that often gets raised, especially within the free-to-play and light spender community, where we think that if numbers were to dip in Marvel Strike Force, aka that whales and Kraken spent less or significantly less, and it affected Scopely's bottom line here on the game, that we would see X, Y, Z, I know you say Z, changes here in Marvel Strike Force. And some of the statements, you know, made it really... Does it actually matter? Like, would it actually compel them to reverse some of the trends that we're seeing in the game? Based on your interview, you know, some of the statements made, it really makes me wonder if that would be the case. Like, or would they just simply accept that MSF is kind of flatlining a little bit, that they might not see the huge growth numbers anymore, and not actually bother to make significant changes if you know, spending numbers were to dip? Because, you know, that's what people say, you know, from like last year's I don't know, strike, you know, fix MSF, things like that, you know, where they're kind of pushing the whales and Krakens to stop spending or spend less. And so I'm wondering, like, would that actually do anything? And that's what I'm actually concerned about, you know, like, or are we going to keep the status quo regardless of what happens, and that they're not going to make significant change? I'm no economist here, but, you know...
Yeah, I mean, speaking from what we've seen in the past, they have always got something like break glass in case of emergency, as we call it. We got Silver Surfer last year. We had Cyclops the year before. If they start dipping in profits, they're not gonna panic and be like, okay, we've got to like get more spenders. They're not so much concerned about getting more spenders. They are getting people to spend more. Like who they have spending more. So they'll drop characters like Surfer, like Cyclops. Characters that are popular, characters that people will want to go for, and they will monetize it in such a way that people will spend for them. We've always talked about, like, every time we have one of these strikes, they also have like one of their best months right after. Like the February where we had the Fix MSF, like that first February, they had some incredibly good. They like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was a very, very good month for them. And you had like people not buying Cyclops, or people were buying Cyclops but not activating him to be like, oh, I support MSF.
Yeah.
So,
I remember that.
You know, the strikes. I don't think the strikes work as well as we would like to think. Sure.
I guess I'm just wondering, what's the break glass moment now? Do we have one, or is that supposed to be Grand Tournament?
No, I don't think Grand Tournament's going to be the break glass. I think it's going to be some new character. As to who it's going to be, I have no idea. Tana likes to think it's Gambit.
Apocalypse? Is it like...
Well, and they've already teased Apocalypse, so they can't be like, oh, here's a new character. So I don't know who it is. I know they've got someone saved for that kind of situation.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't want to guess on who it's going to be, but they definitely have someone saved up, ready to go for when it happens. And... you know, maybe they were anticipating this backlash with everything, and they're like, okay, well, let's get out ahead and start teasing Apocalypse, and then when things really hit the fan, we'll just be like, oh, hey, Apocalypse is out now. Like, we'll know. We'll know when it happens. Oh my gosh, is your Dagger offer in Mega Orb $28?
Yeah, this is Canadian dollar pricing. So yeah, unfortunately, I think it's 20 US, but 28 Canadian. So
oh my God,
I'm 11 shards. P.S. I'm 11 shards from Dagger 5-star.
I like how it's like a mega orb sale and it's got artwork featuring Dagger.
Right.
And
Why isn't it called the Dagger sale or something? But
yeah, I posted that.
So I'm wondering, have we actually, like, I don't think we've been pushed over that precipice yet, for having to break that glass, like, we were there last year, but we haven't actually, there's been no movement actually this year. I don't know if we actually will have one or not, because I don't think there's not enough collaboration, I suppose, between the players enough to do something like that, for better or for worse, whatever it is. I don't, maybe in all of these stuff, like the Grand Tournament patch 6.0, maybe this is going to come out before people jump over the precipice and, start quitting the game. So, yeah, I don't know if we're going to reach the same moment that we did previously last year and the year before. So,
yeah. Maybe also people are kind of wising up to the fact that those movements didn't really accomplish as much as we thought.
First time, shame on me. Second time, shame on them. Don't even bother for a third time. Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think people are kind of wising up to the fact that those boycotts just, yeah, we got some concessions, but they weren't really a lot in the long run. Like what was the one concession? I think the one big one was like, oh, we're gonna make a character farmable every month. But now we're going to release 4 characters every month, so
Right, so yeah, we're not here to talk about the farmability aspect. That's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, I mean, I guess with 6.0 around the corner and Grand Tournament, fingers crossed that some of that might improve. Maybe that's what they've all been waiting for, is that Grand Tournament store to appear, and maybe that's going to fix some problems. I don't know, but I do know that they need to get on top of this. I hope that the hotfix that's coming next week works. I hope that it doesn't make things worse, and that's what I'm afraid of. And maybe if it does, that might push some people over the edge. We'll find out, I guess. That remains to be seen. Yeah, I mean, I think going forward, I want to be more positive here, on my channel, but I just more generally with the game. And, they need to make these fixes so that we can start doing that, and we don't have to complain about it as much as we do. I think that's where we're at. Any last words?
Yeah. No. No,
we've covered it.
Well, yeah, I think we've covered it pretty good.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to be leaving a link to your channel down below, and a link to the David Brevik video, which I recommend everyone to check out if they have time to do so. It's pretty informative, and it's nice to listen in the background while you're having lunch or something. So go check that out. Otherwise, everyone, until next time, stay safe, healthy, and now we've added sane in here because sometimes we have to be here on Marvel Strike Force. And Boilon and McMole signing out.
Bye. What the heck is this?